If this question should appear in your exam, will you get it correct? The particular question on the screen, will you get it correct? Let's solve it step by step really quick. But before we solve it together, pause the video and try your hands on it yourself to see how far or how best you'll be able to handle this question in exams. Well, I'm sure you are back. So let's get started. When you are given any math problem or any question involving calculations, the first thing you need to do is to identify what has been given to you in the question. So if you read the entire question on the screen, you will be able to find the given parameters in the question. And the given parameters in this question are the ones with the yellow highlights. So we have 12 red pebbles, 8 yellow, and 10 green pebbles, all of the same size. So that's the first raw material we've been given in this question. So what you have been given in this question is the box contains 12 reds, 8 yellows, and 10 green pebbles. Enough information at this point. So what we want to do next is to add the total pebbles that we have. That is basically because we are dealing with probabilities. So in dealing with probabilities, one of the things we have to do is to find the total number of samples we are dealing with. So we've added the 12, 8, and 10 green pebbles to give us 30 pebbles in total. Now take note of this. In the question, it continues by saying that if 2 pebbles are selected at random one after the other with replacement. So out of the 30 pebbles, you select 2 pebbles at random but with replacement. This line, that with replacement, highlighted in yellow, means that the probability or the chances for selection of each of them is independent. Why? When you select the first pebble, you put it back into the box. So that's what it means. The 2 have been selected with replacement. So if I choose the first one and I observe the color, I put it back, giving us the total still being 30. So the first selection does not influence the second selection. That is why we say this kind of probability is independent, simply because of the fact that the selection is done with what? Replacement. So keep that important point in mind. So the second step after identifying what you have been given is to identify what is required. So you will always be given something in the question. So we have seen what we have been given already. Now, what is the question asking us to do? So what is required of us is what is in the yellow highlights. What is required of us is to find the probability that the first is green and the second is not a red pebble. So that is what we have to find. So what we want in the question is the probability that first pebble is green and the second pebble is not red. So we have 2 kinds of probabilities here. The first is green. So the first selection is green and the second selection is not a red pebble. So how do we go about it? So now that we've seen what we are to find or what is required of us, then we move to the next step, that is to find each probabilities. So the first probability we need to find according to this question is the probability that the first pebble is green. You see the question where we are to find the first pebble being green and the second not red. So let's find the first part of the probability, that the first pebble is green. In so doing, the first thing we have to find is the total number of green pebbles. If you check this question, how many green pebbles do we have in the question? We have 10. So there are 10 green pebbles in this question or in this box given to us by the question. And how many total pebbles do we have? We have 30 pebbles in total. So these 30 pebbles include the red, the yellow, and the green. So what is the chance that when you just put your hand into the box at random without watching and you pick a pebble, what is the chance that that pebble will be green? That is what the question is asking us to do. Find the probability that the first pebble will be green. What is the probability that the pebble you choose will be green? But before we proceed, we need to know the formula for probability. So the formula for probability is number of possible selections divided by number of samples. That's the general formula for probability. Number of possible selections divided by number of samples. So for this part, find the first pebble being green is the number of green pebbles divided by total number of pebbles. So let's go right in. So what that means is the probability of the first being green is number of green pebbles, that is 10, divided by total number of pebbles, which is 30. So 10 divided by 30 is 1 on 3. Why? Because the zeros will cancel each other. The 0 behind the 1 will take care of the 0 behind the 3, giving us 1 on 3. So this is the probability that the first pebble will be green. Now the second thing we have to do is to find the probability that the second pebble is not red. Now we have three options. We have red pebble, yellow pebble, and green pebble. And we have to find the second probability that the options that we are choosing will not be red. What that means is that we are choosing either a yellow or green pebble because we do not want to choose red. So what we need to do for this side of the question is to find the total of pebbles that are not red. I think you get that. So the total number of pebbles that are not red will be the total number of yellow pebbles, that is 8, plus the total number of green pebbles, that is 10. So the total number of pebbles not red is 8 plus 10, giving us 18. Good. That cleared out for us. We should write out the total number of red pebbles and the total number of pebbles. So from the question, we have total number of pebbles not red being 18 and the total number of pebbles being 30. So what is the formula for probability? Again, that is total number of the selection divided by total number of pebbles or total number of samples. So for this question, the probability that the second is not red, the second selection is not red, will be total number of not red pebbles, pebbles that are not red, divided by total number of pebbles. That gives us 18 divided by 30. And 18 divided by 30 gives us 3 on 5. Why 3 on 5? Because a common factor for 30 and 18 is 6. 18 divided by 6 is 3. And then 30 divided by 6 is 5. So we have the final answer being 3 on 5. This is the probability that the selected pebble is not red. But what the question is asking us to find is to find the probability that your first selection is green and the second is not red. So that is the next step we have to deal with, is to multiply the probabilities. How do I know we have to multiply the probabilities? How do I know? The answer is simple. In probability, the word "and" means multiplication, and the word "or" means addition. So if we're asked to find the probability that the first selection is green or the second selection is not red pebble, then that's a different question. But for this question, you can see that the first is green and the second is not red. So "and" means multiplication in probability. So keep that in mind. And so with that cleared out, what that means is we have to find the probability that the first is green. And the first is green. We've already calculated that to be 1 on 3. And the second is red, is 3 on 5. So we have to find the probability that the first is green and the second is red. The "and" means we'll multiply the two probabilities. 1 on 3 times 3 on 5 gives us 1 on 5. How? Simply put, the 3 of the denominator, which is 1 on 3, the denominator will cancel out the numerator of 3 on 5. So the 3's have taken care of themselves, leaving us with 1 on 5. Better still, you can go ahead and multiply the two, giving you 3 on 15. And 3 on 15 is the same as 1 on 5. So this is the final answer of this question. So I ask again, When you pause the video to solve it on your own, did you get 1 on 5? If you got it, then you've done very well. If you find this stepwise solution helpful and beneficial, like this video, leave a comment in the comment section and share this link with other students you know will benefit from content like this. See you in our next lesson.